Hello everyone, you join me today with the Ducati Multistrada, the V4 Pikes Peak edition, which represents the top of the range for the Multistrada. And we go from the V4S and introduce a few more interesting features to reduce the weight, but also improve the performance. And before I get going on this review, I have to say it wouldn't be possible without the cooperation of Ducati Canada and Barnes Power Sports that lent out their demo model so I could enjoy it over the long weekend. So first thing to point out, and probably the most notable thing, is that you have forged aluminium wheels here with the Multistrada Pikes Peak, and then right above it a full titanium exhaust system by Akrapovič, and that in of itself is going to be, I think, accounting for the biggest weight change, that 9 pounds from the 481 in the V4S to this 472 pounds in the Pikes Peak. There's a couple other things to point out though. Up front we do have this exposed carbon fiber. I do love this unfinished look here down on the fender, and then also this kind of falcon's beak look that we have in all of the Multistradas. I actually think that when you look at the mesh and the way that the logo is placed up front, it gives, in my mind, a little bit of a design motif to the Panigale. Is that intentional? I don't really know, but I do like the way this bike looks. Talking about some other aspects of this motorcycle, it does have the latest V4 Gran Turismo engine. So that means it's 1,158cc, making 170 horsepower and 92 pound-feet of torque. In this spec, I do think it feels more powerful. It's certainly louder than the Diavel that I tested a couple weeks ago. A couple other things I want to address before we get on the road is that I'm 6'4", and very rarely, maybe even never, do I complain about being too small for something. And I do find that with this bike, when I get on it, I find that my legs do have to be a little further spread out than I'd like. Perhaps it's because the thinnest part of the seat is actually fairly thick in comparison to some other sport tourers that I've been on. And the pegs and the engine casing are a little bit further out. So I find that if I need to move back and forth in a parking stall or something, it's a little bit intimidating on the Multistrada. Other things to quickly address. You do have this little cubby portion here where with a USB you can plug in your phone. You do need a smaller phone though. My iPhone 12 does not fit in this space, and it does click in very nicely, but I have found a couple times riding that just a quick brush over with my hand or with my jacket gets it to pop out, and that could potentially be an issue. You know, if you're doing like a quick turn, you get your jacket caught, maybe you break something, that would be a little bit of a shame. Another big thing to point out with the Pikes Peak is that you have this collapsible smoked out windscreen, which is smaller than the normal Multistradas. And in its highest mode, which I will put as I am tall, my biggest grievance is that you're looking at this the backside of this ugly black plastic. It just doesn't seem like a very elegant solution. And another aspect of that too is that we do have these hand protectors, the wind guards, up along the clutch and the brake pedal, and you can see that they do rotate, but they don't really set in place. They don't lock into a position, and because of that, even setting in a position like that on a windy ride that we had out here to Canmore today, it will just slowly deform back into place, only really covering my fingertips and not the whole hand. So a couple of little grievances with the bike, surely not enough for anybody to be turned off of this product though, and especially when you take these small issues into the comparison of what this bike really is, a full out performance sport tourer. So let's get on the road so I can show you what it's all about. So then, the Multistrada Pikes Peak. This is the equivalent of BMW, Mercedes, Audi, all of the big brands that build competent, relaxed, mid-size SUVs, but then also offer them with V8s that produce 600 horsepower. This is how I view the experience of this Multistrada Pikes Peak. We have Diablo Rosso 4 tyres, a clear performance tyre on a bike that is traditionally bought by people that want a comfortable, high up, windshield in their face, getting a little less battered by the elements riding experience. And this bike, I don't think it's really that. It's undoubtedly very, very quick, and the titanium exhaust system gives this sound character that, but I'll be honest, is outrageous. It's like nearly illegal how loud this thing goes. Every time you bang off of the quick shifter, it's this huge big pop, and it sounds like gunshots. It's that violent of a system, and definitely more dramatic than what I experienced on the Diablo. All of the controls do feel very intentional. You have to really put your pressure on the rear brake pedal. You have to pull in a distance for the front brakes, and I do find that when you are using the quick shifter, you can't use the top of your feet and your big toe to go up and down. You need to kind of use a higher, thicker portion of the foot, because it really needs a little more force to get a result out of it. So this bike's red line is 10,500 RPM. You can change the power modes from 170 horsepower in the Sport Evo and Race Evo into 115 horsepower for the Urban and Touring Evo. So with this adjustable Öhlins suspension system, you have one button with a spring icon on it, and with that you are quickly adjusting the preload settings. That is changing from rider or rider plus passenger, rider plus baggage, that kind of a thing. So maybe it's just adding 100 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it is, tension into the suspension system. It doesn't change the feel of the ride. You have to go further into the system menus, which you can only do at a stop, to actually change the softness or the rigidity of how the bike feels. And with all the small stuff, no matter what mode you're in, all the small stuff, little tar snakes, little cracks in the road, I don't think you really notice a difference there. What you do notice a difference on is the big stuff. The stuff that's like a pothole or an expansion joint. In the comfort mode, you hit it, and this is the kind of feel of the bike. It goes down, it goes up, then it levels. When you're in the harder performance modes, it's like that. It's down and then it's straight back up. It is actually kind of interesting when you go into the system menu and change that feel. If you're at a stop and the bike's leaned over on its kickstand, you can actually feel the bike sort of lean down a little bit further. So I have encountered adaptive cruise control on a motorcycle before. That was the BMW R1250 RT, and that was an excellent system, really as good as BMW puts in their most expensive, most advanced products. This Ducati Multistrada, I had played around with that adaptive cruise control a fair bit on my highway ride out, and it does everything right. Instead of slamming on the brakes when a car cuts into your lane, it just cuts power, so you coast rather than come to a forceful stop. If you're on the leftmost part of your lane and there's a car on the rightmost part of its lane, the system is smart enough to not accelerate forward. It still knows there's a car there. And if you're behind somebody and it's 10, 20 kilometers under the speed of which you set, when you change lanes and you move out of place, it gently accelerates. It's not snappy, it's not overt, it doesn't do anything unpredictable. So that is excellent. Congratulations to you, Ducati. That's I'm sure that's something you're taking out of the car department in the VW group somewhere, and they've masterfully integrated it here onto this bike. This bike also does have blind spot monitoring, something I didn't think a bike need. You look around you, you don't have blind spots, not really. But with this system, it is good because with the radar system that's underneath the passenger seat, it will see a car coming before you can see it in your mirror. So just with this nice little outline here, it will turn orange when something is coming up behind you, and it is sort of a good extension of what your mirror can see. And if you're just relaxing, cruising, and you don't see some idiot going 3.5 times the speed of sound, the system will see it coming maybe before you do. So this bike is not for everybody in the sense that it is starting off in a position where you wouldn't expect a performance bike to start, and then it's had its adjustments, it's had God knows how much engineering go into it to make it a performance bike, make it exciting, and make it astonishingly quick. The bike's peak really is peak Ducati performance, with enough comfort and convenience features that really makes the hardcore performance in a frame and a shape of bike like this, but with plenty of comfort and excellently calibrated convenience features as well. It doesn't torment you at all, and with all that, that makes it one of the biggest surprises of riding a motorcycle that I've ever had. So thank you once again, through the cooperation of Ducati Canada and Barnes Powersport, for giving me the opportunity to ride this bike here today. And thank you for watching. I hope to see you again on the channel soon.